let's go. Okay, folks. Welcome to those that are here in the audience, and welcome to those that are watching this live stream tonight for our special budget workshop meeting. It is our second budget workshop meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, agenda is approved. Go right into first item, which is item A. That's going to be planning and code enforcement. Chancellor, I'm not sure if are you going to lead it off, or is Emily going to do it? Okay.
Illustrious Emily Whitener is now approaching the podium.
Good evening. I apologize in advance. My sinuses are a little rough today. I guess more or less, I hope the budget for my department is pretty clear, and if you have any questions, I'm here.
Mayor, I have a question.
Well, I'll ask the board. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Commissioner Hamilton, you'll lead us off.
Good evening, Emily.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I just have one question, and I probably have asked it before from other departments. Professional services for $60,875. Can you break that down for me?
Professional services, unless I'm mistaken, that covers our fees that we pay to the county. Is that?
Can you break it down a little further, like what fees? Do you know?
I honestly, they give me the finance director, well, previous finance director would give me the invoices and I would have to pay them. I know some of it is tied to our dealings with the planning department, with the monthly planning meeting that they have, the joint planning board. But the majority of it is from.
I can add to that. That's the interlocal agreement we have with the county for them to provide planning services. It's line item 1230. And typically what you just saw in terms of the land use plan. Okay. Things like planning board, GIS, our land use plan, that's facilitated through our relationship with Cumberland County, and that's the contract for the interlocal agreement that we pay to the county annually.
And unless I'm mistaken, didn't you negotiate us to go lower? Because
we're in the process of trying to lower that because about maybe 4 years ago, I negotiated us taking on more of the responsibility of the planning for the town of Hope Mills. And it is an interlocal agreement that has to be amended, but that's the actual line item, and that's what that is intended to cover.
I see in 24-25 it was $93,915, and the new manager recommended budget is $60,875. So you reduced it.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I believe he negotiated it to be lowered, and I'm not sure if he's trying to negotiate lower from there, but that is what we were paying before.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Hamilton, yes, that is still in a negotiation phase to lower that, along with several other county service contracts that we're involved in. Okay, any other questions, Mayor Pro Tem?
I guess this would just be a question overall then. Since these are in contracts in negotiation, when would we actually have the numbers to work with as opposed to the projected numbers that would be needed?
I think what you have in the budget is the number because we're still in negotiations. I don't think that's going to resolve itself by the end of this budget cycle. What has to happen is the interlocal agreement is set up as a pro forma, with all the actual counties. And so all the other municipalities, my suggestion is to create a separate one for the town. And the process of that requires the approval of the county commissioners, things of that nature. So I don't anticipate this number changing before the adoption of this budget. Probably will be sometime next fiscal year before we do that, and hopefully anticipation of the next year's budget, then what we will be proposing will be that reduced amount. But I think it's too premature to actually talk about what that reduction is now as it relates to the next month or so that we have to adopt the budget.
Okay.
So out of curiosity, and again, I'm relatively new, this would be 4 months in, right? What if there are questions regarding the budgets? Do we have a drop dead date to approve this budget without? And if it's not approved at the drop dead date, what happens? Until
I'm
someone.
gonna look at my finance director. I think June 30th.
Drop dead date,
June 30th, we have to have a budget
end of
adopted.
June.
End of June.
Yeah. Now, how we get there, I think we've thrown out dates. I think our clerk is trying to squeeze us into a budget public hearing sometime in June. But when we do it, it's up to the board. We just have to have a budget adopted by the 30th of June.
Oh, we will.
We will.
I don't
There's no
think
doubt.
that has
There's no
ever
doubt.
happened. I don't want to know what that would.
There's no not, we will.
We don't want the state coming up in here.
No,
Yeah.
no, we will.
Good. Got another one?
You good?
No, I'm good, thank
You sure? Okay. Commissioner Tremmel?
Just a quick question on training.
I was going to.
I see the budget was cut by 4,000. Is it 8,000 of those required trainings that you guys have to do every year?
Yes, so this is both trainings and requires us to keep up certifications. So in my department, everyone is either working on or has their Building 1 certification, and that requires a yearly continuing ed class that we have to take. And then CZO certifications, they're either have them or are working on them. Those, you have to attend a conference every other year after you take the class. And I think that's more or less it right now. So I don't know if you see my lists, but I have like NCAZO, which is the CZO, and that covers North Carolina Association of Zoning Code Officials, and then the CZO is a certification, and then NCBIA is the state building code, and then the building class.
Thank you.
Okay. Emily, that was my question too, was under 10-490-1000. Was that all of these justifications, Xavier, 5% for,
Oh, yes.
that's in the budget?
Let's raise.
Yes,
Jeff, 5%, Clara, 2.5, all that's in?
yes, I discussed that with Drew before he retired, and he made sure it was in there.
These salaries, right?
No, these are for building certification, 2.5 for ZIZO certification. It's in your packet,
Send it back.
board
yeah.
members. It's right behind the zoning enforcement officer request.
Oh, certification, that's it.
Yeah, it's down there for the justification. I wanted to make sure all those were in.
So currently, I have both my Building 1 and CZO. Our town planner is in the process of getting his Building 1.
Okay.
And one of our code enforcement officers, Ms. Clara, she has her Building 1 and is getting ready to get her CZO. The class for CZO is only offered 1 or 2 times a year, and you have to apply for it, so sometimes it takes a year or 2 to get into the class itself.
Okay. I think the next request was a 3-year contract with Cloud Permit for software. I think it's funded.
Yes, it's actually technically less than last year, because last year we paid the fees for them to set everything up, and then this year is I believe it's $9,800. Code enforcement already has their section going. They've been active on it since October, and they are in the training stages for the planning department part of the program.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem? Yeah, 'cause I'll come to mine.
Okay, thank you, sorry, Mayor. Thank you. Out of curiosity, is it possible to get an overall contract? I noticed there were some departments that were asking for LexisNexis. Are you able to get an overall contract for the persons that would be able to use LexisNexis? I know when I used to work in, county government, we would have access through one of the attorneys, and we would be able to use that to look up bankruptcies and things of that nature. Is it something that can be looked at as opposed to each section having contractual services for that?
I'm honestly not sure. As far as I know, we have a contract with them for our department that allows for as many users as we need, which is our department plus finance for collection purposes whenever properties are cleaned up. I think the other LexisNexis is the police department, so I'm not sure. Ours is $200 a month, a flat rate. But if it's a contract, I believe I would have to go through either our finance department or our clerk to get a copy for you.
Emily, on this next page, there was, this next page was for, I think, 10-490-1296. I think that should be 10-490-15. Because it says travel, it says contract, I think is what it says,
I have 1296 as dues and subscriptions.
yeah, dues and subscriptions. And I think this one needs to be 490-1500.
Travel and training.
Chancellor, could you look at that? And I think we just got the wrong line item there. I think we just got the wrong line item. And then my follow-on question is, the current funding is 8,000. You guys requested 12,000 for all of this training,
Yes.
and only 8,000 was funded. So how is the other 4,000 going to impact?
So the other 4,000 was covering things such as the Main Street Conference, and I also like to send our code enforcement officers to the short term for its NACHO, but it's North Carolina Association of Housing Code Officials, which is a really good program for them. There's not a certification tied to it, at least not yet, but it's a really good program for them to go and do extra training and then also network with other code enforcement officers throughout the state so they can contact them if something comes up that they have questions on, among other things, and possibly help to improve how policies are here.
So 12,000 is what you really need,
That's what I was requesting, yes.
okay?
Mayor, what I'll break down through some of these trainings, and this is what I meant when I sent back the list of the trainings. There are some trainings tied to police, fire, code enforcement that are required for their jobs. In this list here, the CZO trainings, the Building 1 trainings are required, but your Main Street conferences are not. So yes, we can go to a Main Street conference, we can go to City View Vision, but that's not required for my job. So I think what you're seeing is that $4,000 shaving off may be the conferences that are not required to fulfill the requirements of your job. And so things like your Main Street conference, your NLC conferences and things of that nature, those will be great to attend to bring things back to the town. But those are the ones that were cut because they're not required by your position.
Okay. Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Mitchell?
So when we gave you the instructions at the beginning of the year, hey, listen, this budget, you got to focus on what's required versus desired. And I want to believe that every department went through and focused on operational requirement, not desired requirements.
That's correct.
Okay, Commissioner Hamilton?
So Emily, my question is, for this $8,000, how many employees does that cover?
There's 4 of us.
4 employees, okay. And that includes travel?
I have one question.
I tried to average travel, but you never really know for sure based on the hotels in the area and mileage and per diem. so-
Registration and classes and things?
Yeah, I tried to base, so the average in there is based on the last year's registration fees. So I'm hoping that they won't change. They usually don't for a couple of years, but it's about,
Okay.
it's an idea.
And I agree with what Chancellor said, we just need to do what's required at this point and not what people want to do. We need to do the needs instead of the wants.
I understand.
Okay, all right, thank you.
One other question. On the vehicle, 35,000, is that for doing your code enforcement inspections or what?
So that was something that was taken off of the request because that would have gone with the code enforcement officer should it have been approved. So it's not, as far as I know, it's not on the list.
It's on here. No, okay, it's on, it's off, yes. Okay, 0 there, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's zeroed out. Anybody, anything else? Okay. Emily, I think we're good.
All right, thank you.
Next up, stormwater. That will be under tab 15.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Board. How we doing? All right. Questions?
I have a question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
The first one I have is advertising for $10,000. What does stormwater advertise?
So we have an NPDES permit that's issued through the federal government, well, from the federal government through the state, and one of the requirements of our permit is to advertise the program. So we buy cups, we have giveaway items, we also use that line item for doing mailers for household hazardous waste. Those go out every year. We typically don't spend the 10,000, but we're running low on supplies, so it's basically just giveaway items that we are required to have for public events, that type of stuff.
The next one I have is Cumberland County collection fee for $30,000.
So that is based off of the amount of folks that are charged a stormwater fee. So it does go up a little bit every year, but that's a fee that we pay the county for billing residents for their stormwater fee, and they collect it, and then they issue a check to the town.
Okay. And the big one, construction improvements, $182,650.
Yes, so the construction improvements, we don't have a specific project for the year. We keep that 100,000 in there for if there is some type of epic failure or some type of repair work that needs to be done. In this fiscal cycle, we have done probably 4 internal liners where the pipe was separated, so rather than dig it up and replace the pipe, we can have them go in and clean it, and they line it from the inside. It's less disturbance for the residents. They're, you know, if it's something that's on somebody's private property or in an easement. Drew actually left, that was kind of what was left over for the estimated budget. But we had asked for $100,000 for cleaning storm drain lines, just that's all over town. We have found that that is very helpful in making sure that the pipes are functioning at 100% during heavy rain events, because we have a lot of older pipe in town, and any bit of sediment or clogging that's in that pipe could cause a backup in the street. So the construction line item is used for not only cleaning, but repair work.
So you're saying they go around and they clean the pipes, or do they clean the storm drains themselves?
No, they clean the inside of the pipe. So there is it's a jetter head that is high-pressure water, and they push through, and then as they pull the jetter head back, it pulls the sand back, and they have a pumper truck that sucks the sediment and trash and anything that might be down in the storm drain line.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Trammell?
Hi, Beth, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, thanks. I have a question on the salaries line. I see you're requesting 199,225.
Yes,
But the manager's recommended budget is 309. Can you tell us
big
what that
raise,
is?
big raise coming. Kidding.
There's no justification in, and I just
So
wondering.
what was done, that same permit we were talking about, our NPDES permit, one of the requirements is of the permit is who is going to do the repair work. So for our town, if we have some type of small repair that does not require, that is done by our streets department. They do streets work, curbing work, and any kind of storm drain work. What was done was 3 of the streets positions were put in stormwater, so that's the increase that you see to try to balance out from the general fund, is what you said the last time.
Okay.
So we just moved them from streets under stormwater. They're not going to move to my department. They still will report to Public Works, but they can legally be paid out of the stormwater fund.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Beth, I'm going to ask the pointed question.
Okay?
Because I don't want to see, is this permissible to do?
Yes. So the city of Fayetteville.
Maybe I should do that. Maybe that's the way I need to
Yes,
read it.
I said they can legally be paid out of the stormwater budget. So a lot of, like the city of Fayetteville, they have an entire section of their streets department. They have like 7 sweeper operators that they report to the street supervisor, and they are paid out of the stormwater budget because the street sweeping is part of our stormwater permit. So that is a legal expenditure. They also have, street staff that does repair work. When I was there, and this was years ago, we had about 22 employees that were in the streets department that were paid out of stormwater because their function and their role was stormwater maintenance.
The reason I ask that, well, there's 2. I'll go with the first one. With an email from our former finance director, it was dated April 29th, and one of his bullets, in his professional opinion, he recommended the following adjustments. And one of them, and I will read it, is to maintain street department salaries and benefits in the amount of $232,946 in the general fund, which means keep it in streets, not using POW fund and stormwater funds. That's in his email. The same emails that
I'm not opposed
shared.
to you taking it out of the stormwater department, but that's $100,000 plus that you'll have to find in the general fund.
So my
I'm a team player.
my follow-up question is, because a lot of emails went to the state auditor, is this another one of these emails that will go to the state auditor that will trigger an inquiry?
So
I want to be very clear here of what we're doing because of where we just came from.
well, I can't answer the question about the state auditor other than there are many municipalities all over North Carolina that have streets department employees that fall underneath the stormwater department because their main function is stormwater maintenance.
I think Brittany's coming up to speak or to add here. Thanks, Beth.
Come rescue me.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Board. The only reason I feel like that was recommended is because when you pay salary and fringes from a grant, it decreases the projects and programs that Beth could administer through the Powell Bill, is it Powell Bill? Through the Stormwater Fund program. So we would want to see those revenues used for their intended purpose, which is stormwater. However, it isn't against the law, or it isn't illegal for us to use them in that way. They're an allowable cost. It's just our preference would be to put that funding towards stormwater improvement and not necessarily someone's salary infringes.
If a citizen was to look at the proposed budget as presented, and they look at streets, in prior years, they would see that amount there. If they look at this proposed, they see zeros. You see where I'm going? So it's an optics thing too. It's that, wait a minute, over in streets, we've been paying all these salaries for the past 5 years, and now all of a sudden this year, those salaries are been moved.
I don't
So I
think
just wanted to make sure.
this isn't the first year that they've been paid from there, is it?
This is the first year that we have recommended that, so that we have a part-time street sweeping position that has been funded for the last 3 years out of stormwater. And the main goal and purpose of running that street sweeper is to keep the stuff from getting into the storm drain. We're catching it up on top before it enters the system, because it's a lot less expensive to clean it off of the grate than it is to have the pumper truck come out and do that. So it's a coordinated effort, but that position was funded 3 years ago, part-time. That's Ira's position.
I will add too that that's the challenge, where I think 4 years ago we were down to one position in Power Bill and Stormwater, and we're back up to 5. Because the alternative is $232,946 that has to come out of the general fund. That's about a little over 2 cents a tax. So what we're trying to convey to the public by making this shift that is legal, it stops us from having to pull 1 cent a tax out of the general fund. So it's illegal. It's not practical. But it is one of these creative ways that we have to try to balance the budget without a tax increase, because the alternative is 2 cents.
Chancellor, I get it. I just want to make sure the public gets it. That's the explanation. I want to make sure that the public gets it, and that this don't end up on the state auditor's tip line tomorrow. Commissioner Marley?
Mayor, I just want to make a comment like I did at the last meeting. You know, we're falling back in it. We're robbing from 2 departments. We're robbing from stormwater, and we're robbing from the Powell Bill fund that the streets use, that the street department uses to make repairs to roadways into town, using Beth's money that she uses for storm preparedness and management of our stormwater system. So just let the public know, if this does happen, we don't, and we funded at these 2 departments, don't come calling us talking about your streets, because we're not going to have the money in the Powell Bill fund to go out there and make the street repairs. When your storm drain's stopped up, or your yard floods when it rains during a hurricane, well, we took that money and funded salaries with it out of the stormwater department. Like the finance director said, we're taking money from her for this preventive maintenance. And all we're doing is kicking ourselves again in the foot, and our maintenance is steadily falling behind. So I understand why it's there. I understand that, you know, we don't want a 2 cent increase out of the general fund. But I just want the citizens to know what we're having to do and what we're faced and the challenges, because our preventive maintenance is falling behind. Our streets are going to get worse. So you just got to be prepared for it.
And Commissioner Marley, I'll commend the board. You're doing everything you can not to raise taxes. I mean, I've been here 3 years. I think you guys have done everything you possibly could think of not to raise them. My concern is that we're running out of creative options to balance these budgets, keep the needs of the departments and the services we provide at a high level without it. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying, at least to the board's defense, I think every year you guys try everything you can not to raise taxes. And these are some of the things that are coming out that we're having to do in order not to do that.
You're right, Chancellor. We were creative about doing it last year, and I got hit on the audit for doing it, but that's all right.
Mis-
Commissioner Mitchell?
Mr. Mayor, it's one thing that the public has to understand. 4 years ago, I was a commissioner up here, and county said, you're gonna lose $2 million. We was advised at that time we need to prepare for that shortfall. Did we? I don't think so, because if we did, we would not be here right now this very day. It's what you would call the perfect storm of a budget. Because last year, they had to be creative and innovative to make up for shortfalls, $200,000, well, I might as well say $300,000 for the police department to go in, put SROs out in school, provide cars for them. Then they had to turn around and spend almost $300,000 for a server, none of which they asked for or requested, but there was a need, not a desire, but it was required. You have to make a decision. They just had a school shooting out there in San Diego today. We can decide, do we protect and serve, or do we bow down and suffer the loss of life? It's tough up here. But when I ran for office because I knew it was gonna be tough. But anybody that have worked with me from the past, know I would make tough decisions. First thing I do, I would cut. I would cut a department in a heartbeat. Think nothing of it, cut the personnel. But in municipality government, it's not that easy. Because when you cut personnel, guess what you gotta cut? You got to cut services. And when you cut services, the citizens are gonna complain. But at the same time, I'm gonna tell you right now, I know the pain. I was just told the other day, if it wasn't for my wife and I supporting my mother-in-law, she would not be able to make ends meet. And it's all over this whole community, I'm telling y'all. So we gotta decide, not just as this board, but as a community, how do we get to a point in place where we can survive and provide the services that we desire, we need, and are required? It's not gonna be easy. So a citizen came up last week and said, you know, I can afford to pay more taxes. That's right, he can. I can afford to pay more taxes. Many of us can, but there are many of them that cannot. But the question is, how do we meet the needs of not just some of our citizens, but all of our citizens, because they deserve equal service and equal support. We got to get there somehow, some way. And we're creative, and y'all haven't seen nothing yet. By the time we get through the end of this budget, you're going to see some drastic cuts and tough decisions that we got to make, and nobody's going to like it. But at the same time, decisions got to be made. I'm sorry. Oh, before I forget too, your budget is reduced from last year. That's a reduction.
Apologize. With the exception of the salaries line
Right.
item, but we did cut in other areas too. I actually pulled a budget from 2016-17, and my budget it's fairly
Yes.
consistent each year with expenditures.
Think about it. Last year, at the end of this year's budget, 1.2. You requested 9.97. That right there is good business practice.
Well, we're not requesting the 997. That's what we're expecting as far as
That's a good
the
thing.
stormwater fee coming in. So the way that Drew has always done it, and Brittany may decide to do it differently, I'm not sure, but whatever that total amount is, that's what we budget for, and he usually comes in under. So any additional funding that's left over after this fiscal year, or any additional that comes in with the stormwater fee being paid, it goes directly into the stormwater fund, which we
Right.
try to keep that
But see what I'm saying, though?
for emergency purposes.
Where you at the end of this year is more than what you're requesting next year, which is that's a good thing.
We try.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Mayor?
Commissioner Hamilton.
Thank you. Beth, is this the first year that you've had to take, or you've paid the salaries out of stormwater instead of taking it out of the general fund?
Yes, ma'am.
The first year, okay.
For there's 3 additional. Like I said, the street sweeping position is a part-time position, and that started 3 years ago. That's been extremely helpful for our program reporting. So That is in here. That's the one that we have always had. And then there are 3 additional streets for this upcoming budget.
Okay. And like has already been said, there's a lot of things that have happened. We can't go back. We just have to go forward with all of this. However, we decide to do that, and we do have a lot of tough decisions to make, and there are a lot of ways that we can do this, but we're going to need support. We're going to need to listen to the citizens when they come up and talk to us as well, because it's their money that's being budgeted. And like I said, it's going to be some tough decisions. There are ways to do this. We just have to get there. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. That's the very question that you asked. That's the very question of why I asked. I knew it was just the first year of the movement. And I have the utmost, greatest respect for our state auditor. I do. And if we're doing it wrong, I want to know that we're doing it wrong. I do. Because the greatest travesty that government can do is not follow its own rules of procedure and laws. So that's why I wanted to make sure. Now, coming up in our 7 o'clock session, we'll have Public Works. Part of Public Works is sanitation. I just want to highlight something that in the streets, this supports what Commissioner Marley just said a little bit ago. In the streets budget, and I don't know how many days, I drive on the same streets that every citizen in this town drives on. Every day I hear about street maintenance, street maintenance, street maintenance. Every day. In the proposed budget, the manager's recommendation for streets is $685,775. I'll say that again. $685,775. Before the board is an amount of $417,250. That's about, what, $230-some thousand swing on the proposed. This is just the proposed to maintain the streets in this town. And it's been sliced and cut, and those salaries have been moved down to $417. And just so everyone understands that 1 cent of property tax, the value, and shout out to you, Brittany, is $210,000 to the town. 1 cent. That's all we get for 1 penny is $210,000. So I want to keep that in play as we look at what we keep, what we cut, what we have to add to, because that is that's the football that's moving down the field. It is. That's exactly the football that we've got moving down. So I just wanted to have this discussion tonight, and I'm glad, Beth, that you and Brittany came up and added to this so the public knows exactly where we are with these different salary amounts and why they were moved in the first year. Because if they weren't moved in the first year, which is currently now, we would have to find $232,946 to balance this budget, which is at least 1 cent plus to balance this budget. So that would be 49 as a start. Instead of the current property rate is 48, we would have had to start with a 1 cent just to cover that amount. So yeah, we're going to have to make some hard decisions. And I say we, not this board, the taxpayers of Hope Mills, the citizens, the residents. That's the we. That is the we. And our public hearing's coming up, and we don't have to wait till the public hearing to hear what public has to say. If somebody wants to say something tonight at the 7 o'clock regular meeting, they can sign up on that board over there, and you get 3 minutes. This is our budget. It doesn't belong to this board. It belongs to every one of us here. But I want to be clear, just like Commissioner Marley was saying, we're moving stuff around, paying Rob and Paul to pay Peter and maybe 2 Peters. because that's where we are. So that's my little sandbox too. But just definitely wanted to clear up that it was legal, everything is good about the move. I just wanted to touch base with that. Any other questions? We good?
I think we.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Mayor, thank you, Board, and thank
Okay.
you, Brittany.
That's stormwater, staff comments? Seeing none, going once, going twice?
Well, I did want to mention that since we still have time, if the board wanted, you could entertain the public comments that are already signed up, or if you want to adjourn this meeting, it's up to you.
I mean,
It's about property, right?
well, we can't do it, it's a special meeting.
Oh.
Can't add to.
Sure.
Nope, we can't. It's a special meeting. I can't add anything to it. I cannot add anything to the,
Yes, you can.
is it related to these, to planning, code enforcement, and stormwater? Because that's why the special meeting is. Is it related to just those two departments? Dan?
I'm not sure what the public comments would be about that, but we do have a public comment period at the next meeting.
I don't know, are they budget related?
They can wait.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought. Thanks. All right, seeing no staff comments, do I have a motion to adjourn for about 15 minutes?
Motion to adjourn?
Second? All in favor? Seeing none opposed, we are adjourned until 7, and that's our regular meeting. All right, we've returned from closed session. We're back in open session. Do I have a motion?
Move to seal the minutes of the closed session until such time as the release of the information would no longer frustrate the purpose of the closed session and further action was taken that cannot be discussed.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Our meeting's adjourned. We'll be back June 1st at 6.